American President Donald Trump has told reporters that Ukraine's president will travel to Washington this week to sign the deal. The agreement is central to Kyiv's push to secure a security guarantee as President Trump seeks to end the war with Russia. Dr. Alexander Korolev is a senior lecturer in politics and international relations at UNSW Sydney and joins us now live. Very good afternoon to you. What has Ukraine got in the way of rare minerals?
Well, Ukraine is quite rich in rare earth metals, particularly lithium, used in the production of rechargeable batteries, but also titanium and other minerals like scandium, nickel ore, and so on and so forth. However, there is a lot of uncertainty around how rich exactly, how much exactly Ukraine has, and it hasn't been exporting much so far. So this deal seems to be like a discussion of or agreement over what might happen in future, but it's not likely to have an immediate implication because it will require a lot of investment into Ukraine's mining industry and everything associated with that.
Why is America so interested in it? Is it purely because it's so valuable, or is it geopolitical as well?
Well, I think it's both. It is very valuable. According to different reports, Ukraine has like 25 or 30 minerals listed as critical by the United States for the American economy, including those that I've mentioned. But also there is a very big geopolitical aspect to it. Currently, U.S. depends on China. China is the largest exporter of critical minerals. It's number one country processor of critical minerals. And in the context of intensifying U.S.-China rivalry, the United States wants to reduce its dependence on China. So Ukraine becomes a very attractive asset, if you like. So I think there are both sides to this deal, or the likelihood of this deal. One is indeed these minerals are valuable, especially in the context of global energy transition. But also there is a geopolitical aspect to it, specifically U.S.-China competition and U.S.'s dependence on China in this sphere.
And also the involvement of Russia. Obviously, we know that Russia invaded Ukraine, but several years ago, a US senator said one of the reasons that he could see for continued support of Ukraine was to stop Russia getting its hand on these minerals.
Well, this is I think the problematic aspect of this deal, and I honestly don't believe in. I'm very skeptical about the feasibility of this deal because indeed, Russia occupies significant parts of Ukrainian territory. According to different reports, it is very significant. It's about 40%, or some reports, some assessments put this figure as high as 70% of Ukrainian territory rich in those mineral resources. Basically, it might be that Russia controls more than a half of those critical minerals, and Russia is not going to back off, and Russia is not going to give up on those territories. So I'm not sure how this deal is going to be implemented. Moreover, Putin, I think, will be willing to offer make a counter proposal to Trump, saying that, look, why don't you sign this deal with me? I will give you a preferential treatment. And this actually might be the case because if you look at what Pete Hegseth, U.S. Secretary of Defense, said at the recent NATO summit, basically he said that Ukraine will not return its territories and Ukraine will not become a member of NATO. So these are the two main demands raised by Moscow in all this struggle, throughout the Ukraine crisis. So all this looks very suspicious, and how this deal will be implemented in practically implemented, I think this remains a very big question mark.
It's interesting you should say that, because I've been looking at this map of how the territory has changed. Obviously, the red is where Russia has incurred into Ukrainian territory and has taken and claims that land now. The blue at the top is where Ukrainian forces are within Russia's boundaries. But in the Moscow Times last night, it was reporting that President Putin is willing to do these deals on those red bits of land that you see there, which is, in international borders, still Ukrainian. I mean, is that doable? Will he and President Trump do a separate deal to the one he's doing with President Zelenskyy?
Look, this is $1 million question. It's not doable from the standpoint of international law, but from the standpoint of great power politics, it is doable, because what history tells us is that great powers always prevail. And I'm afraid this deal might be a beginning of a partition of Ukraine, where larger powers try to grab a slice of it. And we also shouldn't forget about the European Union, which looks like as if it's a moral high horse rider. But in fact, Europeans also want those minerals. And the European Commission consistently encouraged Ukraine to export more of its minerals to Europe. The only difference is that the Europeans don't frame it in the way Donald Trump does it, like in a very kind of brazen way, very aggressively. But they also want to, the Europeans also want to get a slice of it. So I think it's, and Russia is in the equation like an elephant in the room, occupying those territories. So I think it's a very dangerous deal for Ukraine. I'm surprised that Zelenskyy agreed to sign it, probably out of desperation and given the fact that Ukraine is losing on the battlefield. But the deal doesn't include any security guarantees to Ukraine. It looks like Ukraine is paying for the fact that it's losing in this war. So it's really, there are layers of complexity in it, and I don't see how it will move forward.